Hello! So, everything should be up now. I hope you all can hear me and I didn't forget to set any audio or microphone stream active. Let me do a quick check. I hope you all can. Yes, seems like I can hear myself on the stream, which is awesome. Actually, my side tone sounds wrong again. Okay, I might need to replace my headset. I think the light is also correct. Hi everybody. How you doing? And also, I hope I won't get any disconnects, because my router is known to do such things, and I forgot to unplug it and plug it back in before the stream. So we'll see how that goes. Top. Nice. The recording is started, everything is started. Sad announcement to make, because we didn't have time to research legal issues. There will be no music bot today, because we are maybe planning on uploading the stream videos to YouTube. We're not yet sure about it, and there would probably be license problems when we have music playing in the background, which is why we will have to do with royalty-free music until we had the time to research the matter. So unfortunately, no Time of My Life or any other cool videos. Betcha. Instead, we're going with something that our colleague found in the internet. Sounds quite nice. If you find anything else on some website like this that we can legally upload to YouTube, then let me know. But for now, let me see. I probably have to adjust the volume. Yeah. Ah, damn. Oh, way too loud. Okay. There needs to be a volume setting, isn't there? I'm going to download it in the background. Or, yes. Let's hope we don't kill the stream of it. Alright. Is it working? Oh no, he's dropping frames. Sorry, that was a bad idea. It's over in a second. Okay, it's over now. The frame rate should be up again. Sorry for that little stutter. And yeah, I should have done that before, but there was literally zero time. So Give me a second. Oh no. Open with. Yes, better. And let me add all of the songs. Yeah, it's completely out of order, but it should do fine, I guess. How's the volume? Is everything okay like that? Maybe a bit too loud. Yeah. I guess that will do for now. Again, I'm sorry that there will be no music bot for today's stream. I know you all have been waiting for showing off your awesome internet findings. Okay, sounds good, okay, nice. As already announced, we are going to do the first programming stream today. So, yeah. If you have any questions regarding anything that I do, please just ask me. And I will try to explain it as good as I can. Okay. We have a pretty extensive code base already for Unity, which we're using. Thanks for the follow, Munont. Nice to have you here. We already have a pretty extensive code base, which I will not be going into, but pretty much everything. Where's the correct folder? There it is. Many things under here. We have a few scripts and editor extensions to manage multi-scene editing, multi-scene setups, which means that we have the whole project split into scenes, and not in the common sense that we have one scene per level, but we split it in such a way that we can work simultaneously. Blah, my English really sucks. Sorry. We can work simultaneously without getting any or too many merge conflicts, because merging scene files can be pretty bothersome. And for example, I can show you what we have until now. Actually, let me move everything that's not important to a test folder or setup folder, maybe doesn't matter. We have this main multi-start scene, which contains our multi-scene controller, which basically handles the loading of all the different scenes that we need for the project to work. In the case of this project, that would be those scenes here. We also have a game state framework, which we can use to switch between game states. As I can show you, each game state is connected with a panel, which is basically the UI for that particular game state. At the moment, it's very, very simple. It looks like we have, where is it? Scripts. We have 3 game states. Of those 3, really 2 are used. That one is just in there because we are going to need it someday. So the first game state would be the game state loading, which is paired with the panel loading, which contains, I think, nothing but a canvas, which is, yeah, nearly empty, or contains a loading text. And the other game state would be game state playing, which also contains no UI but only a canvas. We're going to add more game states as we go on with the project, but at the moment we are trying to keep it simple. Just to give you a short introduction, the game state loading basically does nothing else than when the game state is entered, it waits for 1 second and proceeds to the game state playing. And the game state playing is at the moment the game state where all of the good stuff happens. As mentioned earlier, we're probably going to add more game states, like a game state level generation, or we're not sure what we're going to need. That's why we didn't add it yet. Can I get rid of those notifications? Probably not. Doesn't matter. Yes. So that's to the game states. As you can see here, when I start the game, the first game state that's going to be entered is the game state loading. It's always the game state loading. We look for that one with the state name, and then I'm writing this entering game state loading to the console, and after 1 second it's proceeding, and then we're entering the game state playing and building the dungeon, which is not happening at the moment because we need to refactor this. So now when I start main multi-start, which is the scene I have to start with because it contains the multi-scene controller, it loads all of the other scenes, and as you can see here, game state loading, game state changing to game state playing, leaving loading, entering playing, building dungeon, and yeah, nothing is happening at the moment because nothing was implemented. We are also using a dependency injection framework. If you have any particular questions regarding dependency injections, please ask me, but it's pretty hard to explain. But I'll try my best. Basically, it just means that you can I should have prepared something. Give me a second. I think there was a pretty cool example in here. This is the dependency injection framework we are using. It's pretty good, and it has a lot of features which we haven't used yet. So I'm no professional, but I can show you theory. I think that's a good explanation. Yes. Basically, you want to get rid of dependencies between classes. So if you have one class called foo and you have some interface that is implemented within the class, you don't want the class to but which implementation of that interface is going to be used, because that again adds a dependency that the class needs to know. It needs to know about the constructor of the class that it's going to use, and that adds another layer of dependencies and confusion, or only dependency, I guess. And the way that dependency injection works is that you don't instantiate the implementation class inside of the class, but you handle it to the class from a class further up in the hierarchy. So now this class doesn't have to know which implementation of this interface is going to be used, because it's going to be passed in by a class further up. But that again leaves the problem with which class is going to pass in that dependency. So you could of course create another class further up, and in that class instantiate this class and wire it to this implementation of that interface. But that again, then this class needs to know about the implementation of this class, and you're just passing on the problem to the higher hierarchies. And the way that dependency injection frameworks help you with that problem is by providing a container that is basically the top level of the hierarchy, the toppest level of the hierarchy. And this container basically just does something like this. We have it in our, where do we have it? In our game logic installer, which is that one. Yes, that one. In here, let's only take this line into account for now. The container basically binds all references where a variable of this type is requested. It gives the class this variable. So you pass in this variable via the inspector, and everywhere in the code where this type is requested, this variable is injected. So let's maybe do it with... I can show you an example later on. It's rather complicated to wrap your head around. I would recommend you read some lecture about it or try something out yourself, because it can be pretty complicated to understand it. But again, if you have questions, just ask me. So much for that. What we are going to do now is load and generate our dungeons. I mentioned in a previous stream that we are using Dungeon Architect as our dungeon or world creation asset. It's just called dungeon generation because the underlying algorithms are used for dungeons, and you can basically create everything with that. Alright, so we have a setup in here. That's the scene I worked on in the last stream, which doesn't work at the moment because we're trying to do all of that stuff with scripts now. Give me a second. My notifications run wild. Sorry. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is do those things in a script. Like, I think I need to delete all of... I'm going to delete this. Create a new one. Let's call it dungeon container. We have to pass this one in so it generates all the items in under this game object. Otherwise it just messes up the whole scene view, the hierarchy view. And what we want to do is do this build step in a script. Where is my world? Okay, there it is. Where is my mouse? Okay. So we want to do this build step with a script, which can be done pretty easily. You just have to call this. I actually did it. In here, there is this dungeon variable. Let me uncomment it for a second, which is the top level script. It's that script, and this class provides a method called build, which basically does the same thing that pressing this button here does. But now we have the problem that how are we going to get this dungeon object, because we are going to have multiple different dungeon types. This one, for example, is the desert dungeon. Not sure if it will be named like that in the future, but at the moment it's named desert. So we need a class above the dungeon class, a dungeon controller class, to hello Phil, nice to see you. We need a class to handle which kind of dungeon should be loaded, and we'll call that class the dungeon controller class. Let me save this scene. It always takes quite some time to save because it's rather big. Actually, let me destroy it so it doesn't use that much disk space. Okay, so what we will have to do is add this. Yeah, cat owner problems. Naked. Did you take it with you? Is she watching with you? I created this desert scene, which contains everything we need for the dungeon generation. It contains this desert prefab and this dungeon container and the light for the desert. And yeah, we basically only have to load this scene from somewhere, which we have to implement now. So let's just get into it, because I think it's useless to talk about those things. Instead, it's probably easier for you if I can just show you. Okay, I played around in here. Is the font readable? I think I'm streaming in 720p. Can you read all of the stuff if I scroll in at 110%? Otherwise I can scroll in more. I'm just going to start until you tell me. What was I going to do? Ah yeah, the dungeon controller. We also have this game settings object, which is just a scriptable object containing all of the game settings, which looks like this. I just created two classes for player settings, which encapsulates the player spawner.settings, and then this class will contain all of the different settings regarding players. At the moment we're only having the spawning settings, which are not used. Okay, then I'll scroll in one more at 120. That's okay. Let me sit down. Okay. And the dungeon controller has this settings class, which just contains a list of dungeon identifiers, which are just names and scene paths, so we can make the link between this desert scene and a name for the scene. It looks like this. I already configured it for the desert scene. Dungeon general, that contains this dungeons list, which is the desert scene. The desert dungeon is, the name is desert, and the path to the dungeon is dungeons/desert, which is this path right here. Actually, I don't know if I maybe have to add the scenes folder too. Yeah, just tell me if you have problems reading anything. We will see if the code in the background finds it by just dungeons and desert, and it deleted the D. What happened? Desert? Nope, wrong. What happened here? So, okay, let me start. So this will be the class that will be injected everywhere. So we are going to register it in the GameLogic installer, like this I guess, container.bind dungeon controller to, that part is actually optional, but I guess I'm going to do it so it's clear what I'm doing. Bind dungeon controller to dungeon controller from new, which is also the standard and can actually be left out. And we also want it to be a singleton, otherwise each request for that type will receive a new variable. And I guess that's okay. We don't need that non-lazy part, but it wouldn't make any difference. So that means we want to bind every request of the class dungeon controller to a variable of the type dungeon controller, and it should receive a new instance, and it should be a single instance for every class request. And now we can go into the game state playing where it is needed and write inject, and we are needing a dungeon controller, and now let's do something in there. It has no variables, and also it's no mono behavior because we don't need it to be a mono behavior. It just adds unnecessary overhead to the class. But what we are going to need inside of the dungeon controller are instance of its settings, which we get. Let's keep things tidy. Region, injections, we can just inject the settings in here. Inject, which is unknown, using Zenject. Private settings, settings. And also let's make one method. How are we going to call it? Public void. I don't know, let's call it load for now until we find a better name. And also we are also going to want a instance of a logger in here, which is also a class from our code base. This thing gets injected with a method injection. We say every time he needs a class, a variable of type logger, we want to provide that instance from a construction method, which is that one, and we are returning a new logger with that object type because it requests a type as the parameter. Where was I? There. And now I can write log dot, I don't know, debug with my debug method, and let's write loading dungeon whatever. And let's also maybe dungeons dot size or count equals settings dot dungeons dot count. So now we have to call this method somewhere. Dungeon controller dot load, and it should work, I guess, unless I got any errors. Building. Let's see what happens. Doesn't work. Ah, yeah. I forgot to inject the dungeon controller dot settings, so he doesn't know how to resolve this thing here. So we have to tell him that he has to use in this installer, in the install bindings method, we want to tell him that he wants to use this dungeon dot general, which is just a short form for container dot bind dungeon controller dot settings to dungeon controller dot settings from instance dungeon dot general. I think that's it. I think this bind instance also uses the as single attribute. At least I hope so. Actually, I need to figure this out. But let me to do is dot as single needed here. I'm going to care about that later. So now he knows that he wants basically everything I told you before. And when I run it again, he should find the dungeon controller.settings very class, and he should be able to resolve it. Yes. But he is missing something. He doesn't write Game state playing. I think he isn't going in there. Let me set a breakpoint. Game state playing. So, okay, he should do that. The settings variable is also injected. I'm sorry, I'm pretty hungry. I think he is missing my logger flags. If I can find the correct way to set it. I think there was another way to do that. Give me a second. How was that done? I think I can just output user mask debug. Oh, stop this. Peter. I think that should do it. Now I should see my debug messages. Am I? Oh, he's building the whole thing. Ah yes, now I can see it. I can see those ones were info logs, so I can see that without changing any flags. Alright, and now we want to load. How do we want to tell him which scene to load? Load or build? Give me a second. Load and build. No. Load random. So. And in the load random method, he is just going to load the first dungeon he finds in this list. Loading a random dungeon. So which dungeon he is going to load? Dungeon, nope, wrong. Dungeon. Okay, I need to move this class somewhere else. Maybe I should move it in its own class, but I'm too lazy to do that now. Dungeon identifier, dungeon ID equals settings dot dungeons dot. Is there a random method? Get random element. Perfect. Is that an extension method? Ah yeah, it's in our code base, which is nice, so we actually won't have to care about that. So now he should get the one and only element in that list, and we will have to load it, which I have never done before. But there is this, let me pull it out. Actually, move that in. There's this Unity scene manager load scene method. So we will probably have to do that. Exactly like that, I guess. Let's just try it. Scene manager. I think we have to use the scene management namespace. Load scene, and we want to load the dungeon ID dot scene path scene with the additive scene load scene mode, so it doesn't replace all of the already existing scenes. Let's see how that works out. Ah, damn it. Oh yeah, okay. Load random. Ah, misclicked. Okay. Build and run. Couldn't be loaded because it has not been added to the build settings. Okay, makes sense. Dungeon setup, dungeon. It isn't there. I can't add scenes. I can't even. Something is missing. Yeah, okay, trying to do that. Maybe I can just drag it in. Ah, yeah, okay, nice. That should be it, I guess. Let's see. Because it has not been added to the build settings. Do I need to do anything else for that thing to work? Maybe I need to save the scene. Ah, damn you. Am I missing something? Anything obvious? Dungeons, desert. Okay, maybe he doesn't find the path. Let me maybe try it with the full path. Scenes / dungeons / desert. Oh, okay, now it's working. Yeah, it seems like he didn't find it because the scenes folder was missing. So now he actually loads this scene, which is pretty awesome. Alright. So that should actually already work. loading a random dungeon. Let's remove that and maybe make another statement. Info loading dungeon ID dot name dungeon scene. Okay, loading random dungeon scene. Okay, that's already cool. I'm not sure how granular okay. So it has to be the same path as in the build settings window. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so the full path. Yeah, I don't want to do just the name of the scene because it maybe could lead to errors if we have another scene named the same. Okay. So we are going to add another method called build. Maybe we can combine this into one method later. For now, I'm going to do it in steps. Let's see. We probably want to save the variable. Private. How is it called? Dungeon identifier. Loaded dungeon. So, like that. Actually, let's do this after it has been loaded to reduce problems. Equals dungeon ID. Also, we probably want to cache some variables in here, like the dungeon variable, the dungeon script, private dungeon. Damn you to hell. It doesn't find it because it's in a different namespace, the dungeon architect namespace. Actually, let's call this one. Whoa, there was something very loud going on outside my window. Loaded dungeon identifier. If you have any idea how to better name that class, it'd be cool to hear them. Dungeon loaded dungeon dungeon, like that. And we want to cache. Is it an async call? Or is it blocking? Oh, there's a load scene async. Yeah, we'll try with the non-asynchronous version. So now we want to find the dungeon script equals no idea. Probably just a find, or is there a return value? Nope. Game object dot find. Actually, let me quickly close my window because it's getting pretty cold in here. So, better. Back. Let's find the game object. Find object of type dungeon. And we have to take care that there are no multiple scenes loaded, because otherwise this would lead to problems. So as soon as we add different dungeon scenes, we have to take care of that. For now, I think we'll be fine. Oh, damn it. I added all of this code to the wrong method. Okay. That must have been confusing. And also the music is gone. I think I'm just going to start it over, so I don't have to care about that for now. It's just nice to have something in the background. Or should I turn it off? Does it bother any of you? I will gather some additional music for the next stream, but as always there has been a little too a bit too little time, if that was correct English. Anyway, let's remove this. Log.info PO building dungeon. And now we can call the loaded dungeon dot build method, which should build the entire dungeon. Let's see if all of that is working. Game state playing. First we're going to load a random dungeon scene, then we want to build the loaded scene. We also want to destroy it later on. Let's see if that works for now. No errors. Let's see what happens. Doesn't work. Okay, null reference exception. Okay. That probably means that this isn't working. Maybe we need to wait until the scene is loaded. We want our game controller, because our game controller has some methods for delayed calls. Or is there a callback on the async version? Let me see. Nope, not really. Okay, so we just, I guess we want to, actually that sucks in a way. Let's see how the editor looks, if that works. Nope. Yeah, well, it did work, but the error was thrown anyway. I think we need to provide a callback. Okay, let me see if that... Let me make a breakpoint here. I'm pretty sure it has to be null, but... Okay, building. Okay, I can't. Unity is dead. Everything is dead. No. Why is this happening? Okay, yeah. Okay, that's cool. Stop now. I'm sorry for eating, but I'm so hungry. I would probably fall from the chair. Okay, yeah, it is null. Let's see if it's not null when we wait for a frame. Game controller dot invoke delayed by frame. What? Damn you! Frames. Let's do it like that. Let's wait for one frame. I guess it will load the whole thing in the frame that this load scene call is made. Crash the system. Okay, I lost my standing mat. Okay. I should probably have exited play mode before I did that. Come on, man. What are you doing so long? Okay. Main multi-start. Breakpoint. Then start that thing. Damn you. What the hell are you doing? Anyone knows where the editor log is kept? I think it's somewhere. Unity. Editor, nope, wrong. Local. Ah, yeah. A message. Ah, okay. A colleague just gave me a hint. I don't know why it crashed. Would be nice if it would not crash again. Okay, let's try it without this thing. It shouldn't crash when executing without... Okay, it just crashes when I set a breakpoint. Let's remove this. I'm just going to try doing it the way my colleague just told me. How to best do that. I'm really just wondering why it crashes when I set that breakpoint. Or did I set another breakpoint somewhere else? I think I can remove all breakpoints. Let me try it again. I'd just like to know if that would work. Ah, okay, damn you to hell. I had a similar issue yesterday where my editor crashed when I added the breakpoint, which kind of limits me in my work, but seems like I have to deal with it for now. Okay, so I could do the whole thing, I think. Then let me do that. Load and load async or something like that. Nope. And I guess we need to do a coroutine. Enumerator, I think. Load random as private enumerator load random async coroutine, and I'm going to move all of this stuff in there. And I'm just going to start that coroutine from here. I'm missing something. How do I start a coroutine? Should work like that. doesn't exist. That is bad. Going to remove that. Let's see, async. Oh, coroutines only work in mono behaviors. I wanted to... Damn it. I wanted to not do it that way. Is that game state a mono behavior? Nope. Okay. I think I need to make this thing a mono behavior now. Ah, okay. My colleague is giving me pretty extensive hints in our chat. Seems like our game controller has a start coroutine method. And something is missing. Let's see. Why doesn't he want that one? Maybe he doesn't want it to be private, but that would really surprise me. Another thing missing somewhere. Method group to I enumerator. I guess it would work if I'd do it like that. I'd really like to not do it like that, though. Okay, nope. Okay, seems like I have to do it like that. Okay, anyway, seems to do the trick. So now he's starting this load. Let's call it load and build random async. And then we can do this build right here. saved, I think so. Load and build. Let's see what happens. I don't dare to set a breakpoint. Come on, man. Ah, man. He reset this thing because the editor crashed earlier. Scene slash. I guess that should be it. Alright. Now he's generating it. That's nice. Okay, so we know now how it is supposed to work. We just have to keep in mind that when he returns from this call, the dungeon has not yet been built. So it would be nice to get a call back. Like an action variable, maybe. Let me think. Whoops. Dungeon built call back. And we're going to handle that one in there. I think that is supposed to work because the coroutine should be updated in the update thread or in the normal Unity thread, so I think we should be safe by doing this dungeon build callback, calling this method here, if it is provided. I think we also added a invoke save method. We also added a extension method for save invocations. It just checks for null before calling the callback. And now, yes, I think it should work if we do this. Let's enter some write something. Dungeon built. So let's see. Also, I noticed something which bothers me more than it should. Loading desert dungeon scene. Okay. So dungeon built. Nice, I think. Building dungeon, entering game state, playing building dungeon, loading random dungeon scene, loading desert dungeon scene. We will probably have to take care of this later. Dungeon built. there is okay. Let's write this in here. Loading random dungeon scene, loading scene, building dungeon. That's okay. Okay. Don't care. Asynchronously loading and building dungeon. Dungeon built. Alright. We can remove this. And that's working for now. Maybe we also add a destroy method. Public void destroy. Dungeon. Destroy and unload dungeon. Is this also a asynchronous call? Where is my... There it is. Scene manager. There should be an unload scene, I guess. Yes. This can't be called during various physics and visibility callbacks like on trigger or on became visible. This function is not recommended to use. Yeah, well, we are going to use it because we need to unload the scene. Otherwise this find game object method won't work. The thing we did here. We should be able to log.info destroying dungeon, loaded dungeon dot destroy dungeon. I think this is blocking, not sure. And after that we want to scene manager dot unload scene. Scene name loaded dungeon identifier dot scene path. Okay. Anything missing? This isn't called at the moment because this onLeave method is never called. But we can see if it works by just calling it right in here. So if we see nothing, it works. Ah damn, I shouldn't have moved that thing out here. Okay, let's see if no scene is here. Yes, dungeon built, destroying dungeon, and you can't see anything, so it worked. Clapping for myself. It's pretty quiet today in the chat. Okay. Now we would need to implement our player spawning. I'm not sure if I want to do that. Because that took a bit longer than I expected. Maybe I'll do a bit of it. Okay, let me remove this again. Game state. Maybe let's rename this whole thing. Yeah. Let's call this game state. No, too much work. I would have to rename all of the occurrences and redo the linking of the game state and the panel. Let me see how my player spawner looks. The player prefab and nothing else. Nice. No, I think it's not cool to start with that now. Let me do... Well, something beeped somewhere. What was that? Okay, I have no idea. I can't tell. Let me do the injection of the spawner, which that should probably be all I have to do for that. I want to bind all interfaces and self of the player spawner to player spawner as single dot from new Can you hear me? Okay, my headset just turned off, and so did my side tone. Okay, the logger, let's see if the initialize method is called. What's it called? Initializing player spawner, nice. Not even sure why this thing has an initialize method, but yeah, we're not needing it at the moment. But it gets injected At least it seems so. So in the game state playing, we can now inject I should probably how to say, move this spawning code in its own game state, in a player spawning game state or something like that. Let's create a public void spawn method which does what? Oh, and also we probably want to get a reference to the dungeon object. Maybe a property. Because we will need to do a few things with that. Oh, no, let's encapsulate all of the calls to that class. Whoops. We want to find spawn position. No, that is a bit too much for now. I'm already pretty tired. I'm sorry. I know I wasn't at my best today. But it was a long day today, and yes, I need to eat something, otherwise I will fall flat to the floor and you will never see a stream of me or with me. At least we got the dungeon generation part working. I will see what has to be done with the spawning part, but I think I need to think about this thing, and yeah, I'm not able to do that now. Okay, I hope you learned one thing or two. The introduction took some time away, but I guess I had to go over how our setup looks and works. Yes, Phil, I missed your kappas and your craze. I had to go over the dependency injection part and how our game states are linked to the project and everything, so that took some time away. Sorry I didn't manage to spawn the players, but maybe I'll save that part for the next stream, but probably it will already be implemented until we see each other again. Oh, did your cat enjoy the stream? At least. Anyway, thanks for joining in to everyone who came by. Don't forget to leave us a follow and follow us on Twitter to get updates from our development, and I'll guess I'll see you next time. See you then, guys.